So here we are, we're going to start making some shapes in Gravit Designer. First, I want you to go to a new design and make your new design 8 inches by 10 inches. So 8 by 10, and then make sure this little gray box is highlighted with IN for inches. Hit create, and you'll get a new design here. I'm going to get rid of my picture there so we can see the whole toolbar on the right side. So up on the very top, there are all these tools. The arrow tool allows you to select things and move them. What the star here, you probably have a line or a rectangle. This is your shape bar. So if you click on the little arrow that points down next to the star, you can pick any of these. Let's go to a rectangle. I'm going to make a rectangle by clicking and moving my shape down. I can then grab a corner, I could change the shape of it, I can bring it longer, shorter, whatever I want. So I can make my rectangle the shape that I want it to be. The shape is selected by these, you could tell by these blue dots here. I could also rotate my shape. If I go up to this top circle, I could rotate it to the side a little bit. Anything that goes off of your page will just be cut off there. So it just means that the part that's not on your document won't be seen. So you can do that, and you can go off the edges of your page. Now let's change the color of this shape. If I go over to the toolbar on the right side and I go to where it says fills, I click on that circle. There's a gray circle there, and now I can choose any color I want. Let's make this a red shape. So I have my shape. I'm going to go back to my shape and make a second shape. I want this shape to be red. Actually, let's give it some borders. So that shape is selected. I'm going to go to my borders on the right side, click that plus sign, and I'm just going to change this number so I can see it better. I'm going to make it a 5-point border, and let's change the color too. Click on the circle. Let's give it, we'll give it a blue border and see how that works. There we go. So I have a red rectangle with a blue border on it. Let's make another shape now. So I'm going to go up to my shape and I'm going to switch it. Let's do an ellipse. Now, an ellipse can be a circle or it can be an oval of some sort, right? We have a lot of different variations in that ellipse. If I hold down the shift, it will remain a perfect circle. So that's really important. This is already the red with a blue outline, but I'm going to change those colors. Let's make this one the opposite. I'm going to make this circle blue with a red outline. There we go. So it's blue with red. So I'm just playing and adding more shapes to this. Let's make another shape. What other shape should we do here? So let's try a polygon. Click on that. Drag my shape across. I'm going to let this one go off my page, or maybe move it over a little bit here. We'll have it go off the page a little bit on the top. So this shape, I'm going to change once again, change the color. Let's make this one white with an outline. So I'm going to my border now, and I'm changing the border to we'll keep the border black, but I'm going to make the points a little bit bigger. So let's make it 5. And now, did that work? I don't think I got my borders on that one. It didn't change. So let's try it again. Hit enter. There we go. Now I'm going to go up to my opacity because I want to see through this shape. So if I click on the opacity, right now it's full opacity. That means it's solid. You cannot see through it. I'm going to dial this down and look what happens. I now see the shapes underneath. It's kind of interesting, and it creates a lot of depth when layering these shapes. I can also change the corners. I can round out those corners. So now if I go too far, it's going to turn into a circle. So if I still want it to remain still have the angles but not have the sharp corners, I can do that as well. So you just move that over a little bit. Okay, so it's kind of interesting what you can do. Let's add one more shape and see what happens. Let's try a triangle. So I'm going to make this triangle. I don't want it that big, but I'll move it down. And this one is already set to be in the same same way as the last shape that we made. But I'm going to rotate this a little bit here. And then I'm going to change the colors once again and see what happens. So whatever's off the page will not be part of my document. So that just gets cropped off. So let's change the colors of this one. We're going to do this one blue. And we'll do a black, we'll keep the black border with this one. And we're going to keep the opacity there. So my opacity, let's check to see what the opacity is here. It's somewhere in the middle. It's at 59% opacity. Let's bring it down a little bit. We'll bring it to 44. That looks good. And look at how even where the blue and the red overlap, it makes purple. So you can really play with your colors this way. I'm going to just move this over a little bit so I get more purple in there. And I'm going to continue and do a few more shapes and see what happens and see what kind of geometric pattern I can make just by layering things up. I want to do another triangle. So we're going to come up here. I'm going to do another triangle. This one's going to be a little on the smaller side. Move this one in. And I'm going to change those colors. You can do whatever you want. Experiment. I want you to learn how to use the colors, learn how to use the borders, the opacity, and all the different shapes that you can make. So gave it a blue border. Let's see how that looks. It's turning out to be pretty interesting. I could even put some lines in here. So maybe I just make a few lines. I could change how thick the lines are by changing the border. So if I make this an 8, see what happens. It becomes a nice thick line here. Okay, a little black line. I could create more of those, or you move them around in different ways. Okay, let's do a square. Maybe I want to get a shape that's a perfect square. So just like the circle, I hold down Shift, and then I can drag and create a square. There we go. So it will stay a square with all 4 sides being exactly the same. Right now I have an 8-point border, but I don't have any fill color. So let's put a color in here. Go to the plus. Ooh, it's a black one. I kind of like the black. Well, we're going to change it to red. I think I need more red in my image. I like this brick red. And change the opacity. Click on the shape again if you lose that, and bring my opacity down a little bit. So I'm going to move my square over just by clicking on it. And now we're getting somewhere. It's just layering up the shapes, making an interesting image with these shapes. I'm going to make this triangle a little smaller. So to do that, I can just grab one of those corners and bring it in. You know, and I could go back and forth between the different shapes until I get the arrangement I like. Maybe I can draw a picture with these as well. So once I get that, so I'm all done now, I am going to save this. I can just, if I want to come back and work on it again, I can just save, and I can name it shapes. I already did one named Shapes, so I'll name it Shapes 2 and hit save. And the next time I come back, it should be there. But if I'm going to hand this in, if you want to hand it in to me, what you need to do is do File, and you need to export as a JPEG image. So now I won't be able to work on it again, but it downloaded to my computer, and I can share it to Google Classroom, just like that. That's it. So I hope this helps.